Aloha and welcome back to the channel. So here I have what I have dubbed the A320 Micro. It's a desktop setup. Well, desktop here based on a laptop. The laptop that I did a quick video on several months ago. It's an Asus A16 7735 processor, 7700S graphics card, 32 gigabytes of DDR5 memory, and 2.5 terabytes of storage. The laptop came in ballpark at $725-ish. This setup was meant to work specifically with the laptop, but it was also meant to do something else that was kind of unique in that the laptop is only connected to everything you see here by one USB 4 cable. So if I disconnect the one USB 4 cable, which is going to a docking station, which is back here, I can take the laptop, do some regular work with it in another room, and the setup is kind of dead. It's just not hooked up to anything. When I come back, plug in one cable, I have a flight simulator back. The reason I did that, number one, I like to travel with the laptop. I like to bring a specific joystick with me, and it is actually one of the Turtle Beach joysticks, and flight sim while I'm on travel. But also I'm going to use that same laptop in a different flight sim setup at a different desk in my house. Kind of crazy, I know, but it's kind of nice to be able to bounce around like that. Now, this setup here is composed of a hodgepodge of pieces, parts, I'll call it. We'll start top to down, top to bottom. Up here, I have, it's an old iPad 12.9 inch running a Streamdeck app that I'm using to mimic my overhead panel in functionality. And I kind of made the buttons go where they would be on an overhead panel. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. The reason I like that setup, vice spending 450 plus, is that last statement I made. Not spending 450 plus. Because all of the cool overhead panels I've seen, that's what they go for. 450 bucks and up, that's the cost of an overhead panel. So unless Winwing comes out with something super cheap that's awesome, I'm just going to stick with my iPad. But then as we come down, I mentioned Winwing. Here we are with Winwing. The Winwing FCU and EFIS here are just awesome. Couldn't be happier with them. They work great with the game. The more I play with these, the more I realize I don't know about flying commercial airliners. I've only been on this Airbus for maybe 3 or 4 flights, and none of them have gone swimmingly. Every single one has had an issue, all related to me learning. And I am using the fly-by-wire A320. Now, as we come down, you see this frame here. It's just aluminum extrusion, 24 inches across by about 8.5 on each side, and a facade that I 3D printed. Behind here, I have an old iPad 5, and I have a super cheap tablet. And when I say super cheap, I'm talking a $45 random Android 14 tablet off of Amazon, $14. It's a no-name brand, but it runs Spacedesk just fine, as does my old Apple iPad 5-ish. So they're both running the software. I'm just really happy with them. Over here, I have a Streamdeck. This is the 15 button. I think they call it the Classic or whatever. And this is an older one. I picked it up on eBay for about 60 bucks used. It works great. And I think it's like flightpanels.io. You can actually buy pre-configured panels depending on the aircraft you're going to use. And for me, for the fly-by-wire, I forget how much it was. It wasn't expensive, but I was able to utilize that one download on my 32 button Streamdeck down here, the XL, another eBay special for about, I think I picked this up for like, it was between 95 and 110. So it was less than half the price of a brand new one. And we got my Classic up here, but I can control all my functionality. And in reality, if I wanted to make this a smaller setup, I would have only used the 32. I had an idea for that, and I'll talk about that in a second. As we come down a little lower here, you'll notice I have the Winwing MCDU. Huge fan of their MCDU. I gotta say good things about it. It just does everything it's supposed to do, and it does it well. And over here I have the Thrustmaster throttle quadrant. I do like the Thrustmaster throttle quadrant. There are a few hiccups along the way, and I'll talk about those in a second. As we come over a little bit more to my left here, this is an iPad Air 2, again using Air Manager. Again using Spacedesk. Correcting my last there. But what I'm using it for is the electronic flight bag. This is a pop-out, so I just hit my right Alt and my left mouse button and moved it down to this tablet running Spacedesk. So now it's almost like I have the tablet down here. It's just not a touchscreen now because, well, I'm using it, in Spacedesk, so it's not really a touchscreen anymore. But it's still where it should be. And then as you come over here, I have the Ursa Minor Airbus joystick, the one for your left hand. And over here you can see my laptop kind of in the background. The docking station is over there by that light. And I have a USB hub right next to it. Everything is going to the docking station and the hub. Only one USB cable goes over to the laptop. And underneath the desk, I have a ridiculously old pair of Thrustmaster rudder pedals. Probably the first pair I ever bought. They're not great, but they function, so I can't complain. Overall, I am really happy with this setup, and I think it's ironic that right after I built this, I saw an ad for, I think it's Flight Velocity's desktop setup that utilizes the FCU and the EFIS and a Streamdeck. If you haven't seen their setup, go take a look at it. They use one display, and I don't know the size of the display. Next to it, they have a 32-button Streamdeck, and on top of it, they have the FCU with the two EFIS connections. And it's a very compact form factor, so if desk space is an issue, it's a great thing. The only thing I didn't like about it was the price, because their setup came in at, I want to say it was a little over $450, and my setup came in less than that because this tablet was 45 bucks. This tablet I already had. The aluminum extrusion maybe cost me $25 total, and a whole roll of PLA is 20 bucks. So I maybe spent $45 to $50 on the materials and another $45 on a tablet. So call my setup 90 bucks. Theirs is $450. I would say that if you're going to do this for yourself, a cool way to do this that I may have done, and maybe I'll build it just when I have time, is to use two tablets with the Streamdeck XL in the middle, two tablets on either side, with this guy right over top. And you could use the XL for everything. You could use it for your overhead panel. You could use it for your transponder. You could use it for your radio. It has all the functionality you need sandwiched in, and it would be a very small form factor setup. So I may throw one together, just out of sheer boredom. We'll see if I do that. Haven't really decided. Now, I did mention something about the Thrustmaster here. When I plugged it in, it wasn't truly plug and play. The sensitivity curves were all out of whack by default, so I had to go in and heavily modify the curves, which is kind of annoying sometimes. And I also had to go in to the tablet over here and go into, I believe it's the settings, and then under sim options, and then on the bottom is throttle detents, and then you have to calibrate your detents. I didn't do that this last time I fired up the system. I should probably do it a little more often. On this last flight, my detents are not quite right. The max throttle is actually about half of the travel is almost max out, and then it drastically drops off to no throttle at all. So it's pretty challenging to fly it right now just because I need to calibrate those two axes. And the other quirk I have with my setup, and it's not a knock against Winwing, because as you can tell, I'm a huge Winwing fan now. The quirk I have with Winwing is the SimApp Pro software. And now it's great software when it works well, when it works. And the one thing I didn't like about it is everything isn't plug and play. When I say plug and play, I mean specifically I'm aiming at like the joystick kind of stuff. The Ursa, as well as the F16 and the F18 sticks that I also have, they're not truly plug and play. You plug them in, they don't do anything until you run SimApp Pro. Now, you can manually program them in. You can actually manually go in and configure them to be recognized. But when you look at, your Turtle Beach Velocity 1 flight stick, your Velocity 1 flight deck, when you look at your Honeycomb Alpha, when you look at a lot of the other name brands, you plug them in and they just go. I kind of love that. So having a joystick that didn't just plug in and go was a little weird for me. I do love the feel of it, and I love the rumble. It actually has a little bit of a rumble to it. So if you've got a rough takeoff, or if things aren't going great, the joystick will rumble, which I think is a cool feature. Now, all this setup, everything here in my setup has taught me one thing. It's that I don't know a thing about flying an Airbus A320. I have gone through, and I'll break them out over here. I have made myself some very basic procedures, but I still need to work on these too. Like learning how to use the MCDU, because the fidelity is there and it actually does a lot of what it's really supposed to do. You have to get things right. So I'm learning as I go. That part is definitely not a knock on anybody. It's actually praise for the MCDU and for Winwing, because they did a great job on just the look, the feel. The buttons themselves feel super quality, and the FCU and the EFIS, they just feel really good. Now, the way it's mounted up here, because I know this is kind of an odd mounting, this is with the aluminum extrusion. There are 90-degree angles you can buy that will latch into extrusion. I use the mounting holes on the back of this, on each one of these, to that 90-degree bracket, and then I mounted the bracket to the extrusion, and it is rock solid. You'll notice the whole desk will shake if I move this. On the bottom of the aluminum extrusion legs, I put rubber feet, so this ain't moving unless I physically lift it up, because it is not going to move in any lateral way. I love the setup. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, as always, ask away. If you got any ideas, or maybe there's stuff you want to see me do in this, let me know. I'm going to keep trying to do some flights in this setup. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully I learn a little bit, and hopefully I get a little better over time. But I'm having a lot of fun, I gotta say. And the fact that I can move this if need be, the throttle and the MCDU are actually just sitting on a joystick mount with a wider metal plate. So with one lever in the back, this whole assembly can come right off. All of this lifts straight up. So this here could just move off the desk, and I could just break out a regular size keyboard and I'm back to a normal computer, which is nice. If you're somebody looking for a small setup, something like this could be the way to go. And as much as I said, I did mention that flight velocity setup, I would love to play with it, but for the price, you can do something similar at a lower cost point. Like I said, mine here, maybe 90 bucks. Theirs, 450 plus. Theirs may look a little prettier, but I saved 280 to 300 bucks in the process. I'm okay with saving some money. Maybe that's just me. Sometimes I'm a cheap man. I will not lie. So this is one of my new setups. There are two more that I'm working on. I just got about to the halfway point on one of them. I'm going to edit this video here shortly, and I'm going to start working on that other setup. But again, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, as always, throw them below. If I do any good flights with this, I'll try to record them. But stay safe, happy flying, and thanks for watching. Take care.